Hey gang, today's episode is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/nakeddiner. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Hey everybody, this is Andy Hall, and you're listening to the Naked Diner podcast. This is episode number 27, and our guest today is Dan Arel. He is what is he, Jack? I'd say that he is a writer of books. He's also a journalist of blogs, like his Danethology blog on Patheos. He's also a public speaker. He talks about atheism. He talks about children. He talks about raising children without God. Because his book, it just happens to be called Parenting Without God. And if we're lucky, he may just talk about the new book that's dropping. Do they say that, Jack? About dropping? I know that's what they used to call about vinyl, like the record is dropping. Probably not.
They say that about streaming shows now. When they drop the entire season, it's dropping the season. I think books just release because, people who write stuff like to use fancy
release. Words. That is such a wussy word, release.
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start doing that to you during the intros.
By just talking to me?
Not. You could just completely ignore your last name.
Oh right, Jack Maturko, co-host. I'm gonna make up a little song about your last name, Maturko.
Yeah, good
Maturko.
luck.
Maturko.
Look, the only words you're gonna rhyme with that are like jerko, or. You're just going to start making up.
Don't you read my blog, Laughing and Disbelief? I make up insulting stuff all the time. Have you been following what I've been doing with President Erdogan?
No, of course
Turkey?
Not. I don't read your blog.
For those of you who haven't been following this story, President Erdogan of Turkey is using a 19th motherfucking century law in Germany to prosecute, in parentheses, persecute a German comedian who read a limerick, a pretty fucking dirty limerick too, against the Turkish president on German late night TV. It's crazy. The comedian Jan Böhmermann faces up to 5 years in jail.
So German comedian, read a limerick on German television.
Yep.
And this guy in Turkey is trying to prosecute.
Yes, because there was a 19th century law. Do they have some
sort of extradition treaty or something?
No, what it is
Can't
is
the
that
German government just say no?
Well, yes. I mean, but Angela Merkel, who's the PM over there, she is treading or walking a fine line. She's treading water, and she's walking on a fine line. If you could do that at the same time, I mean, that's what she's doing. She needs President Erdogan to deal with the migrants pouring into Europe from Turkey. And so she's trying to appease him. And President Erdogan is actually using a German law that states that you cannot insult a head of state, any head of state. So in theory, if this German comedian was insulting, I don't know, Putin would have just fucking had him killed probably. Some kind of hardcore KGB shit. But President Putin would be able to sue him also under this 19th century law that Germany has. It's crazy, dude. That's what it is.
Is it a suit or is it a criminal charge?
It's a criminal charge. That's what it is.
That's weird.
It is weird. So that's what I've been doing. Making up memes about President Erdogan, keeping up with this
I've been on vacation for the last week.
You and your vacation. How do you feel? Do you feel charged? Do you feel recharged?
I do. It's coming along. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to, but they say it takes like 3 days until you totally relax when you go on vacation. I really slept and got up and had something to eat and then went back to bed. And it was crazy.
Are you sure you're not just confusing depression with relaxing? Because that sounds like depression to me. Like a symptom. Like if you have 7 of these 10 symptoms.
Well, I mean, look, that's entirely possible, but it's not like a brain chemically kind of depression. It's a
work-induced depression.
Work-induced depression, yeah. It's I'm a liberal atheist living in fucking Arizona depression. It's just a thing that happens.
Well, I have to tell you something. We're always accepting immigrants from the barbarian territories like Arizona and Texas. We'll get some more. The more people we get, the more delegates, the more representatives we get. Yeah. I'll tell you what, we got 3 minutes before we get Dan on the line. I'm going to get myself one more cup of coffee. How's that?
Yeah, I'm going to get coffee too.
Because I have to hit peak caffeination.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, man. I'll be back
here in a sec.
Yep. Hey, Dan. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You're doing pretty good.
Great.
So you're back from hockey practice this morning?
Not this morning. We didn't have it this morning, so that's why this worked out perfect.
Oh, hey, that's great. So when you talk to other dads, right, and they start talking about their kids, but they're not hockey dads, do you say to yourself, not really a dad? Or maybe not really a dad. You're not up at 5 o'clock in the morning lugging equipment.
Yeah, generally, because my kid does sports too, and that's like basketball, and I do it. And I'm like, no, I've gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to hockey practice.
And it's a much lesser, it's a less widely practiced thing on the Southwest.
Yeah, so it really is. It's more popular here than you think. Like, all the rinks are constantly packed. All the programs are really full, but it's just not as well known. Where, like, I grew up on the East Coast, and it was just, everybody played hockey. So not only were the
we
rinks
had
full,
hockey teams that people liked,
right? But also, not only were the rinks full, but they were overfull, and they had multiple programs to accompany them. Where we just have like one program per rink, and they're all full, which is great. But where I came from, you could try out for a team and not make it because they just didn't have room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So where are you, Danny? You're in California? I know that.
Yeah, San Diego.
San Diego, right? So not only do you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but you have a child to get going.
Oh yeah, which is just impossible.
So what's your strategy when you go?
I just literally drag him out of bed, put him in the car, drive there, and by the time he's in the cold rink, he's up.
You just get a net. You just have him sleep actually on a net, and then just like a fisherman's net, and then you just kind of collect the corners, and then you just drag. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, it works out.
How old's your boy?
He is 5.
Oh, he's 5. Wow.
Yeah.
So what's 5-year-old hockey like? I mean, I have no idea.
It's a disaster.
Because my kids were doing hockey, but soccer at 5, and it was like Brownian motion. It's like random. There might be some kind of herd movement towards the ball. What's it like for 5-year-old hockey?
So basically, when you take your training to become a coach, you have to take it's all age specific training, and at the 8 and under age group, the motto is embrace the chaos. Because really, you just put a puck on the ice, and then things happen. It takes a while before they figure out what goal they're supposed to be shooting at.
Sure.
They steal from their own teammates. Everyone wants the puck, so it's just basically a free for all.
With
go
weapons,
get it.
They have weapons.
With
hands. God. So I imagine they're just regular mini hockey sticks. They're not
they're youth hockey or junior. Can't remember if they do junior, which direction that goes. But his hockey stick looks like mine, but it's small, and the blade part of it's just shorter. And
this is on ice.
This is on ice.
Sheesh.
And it's just kids and mini equipment, so it's just these little kids and small shrunken down things skating at each other aimlessly.
That's great. So how long does a game go for?
An hour.
An hour. All right.
Yeah.
And is there any actual scorekeeping, or is it just whoever?
No, the kids the kids really keep score. They constantly will tell you the score. But no, we basically coaches are on the ice with the players. We have the net set up cross ice, so you can have like 3 games on the ice at a time, and they have they just go and they eventually get which way they're supposed to go, and some of the older kids in the group will be a bit more skilled and understand passing and skating a bit more. So you have a weird mix while you're out there, but they just go. The older kids keep very detailed score. So, and I mean, these are high scoring games because oftentimes there's no goalies either. So you've got like kids coming up like it's 11-12. Or you play the right team and it's like it's 11-0.
Do you have have you had any issues with parents who are like really overzealous? Because I've been watching Friday Night Tykes on some horrible channel on cable, and they're like crazy. They're like 11 and 12-year-old football players. I think in San Diego or somewhere. You know, there's a bunch of shows in Pittsburgh, but these parents are really hardcore, screaming at the kids from the sideline. You know, anything like that at 5?
Only once, but yes. We did play a game, and there was a dad who came onto the bench because some rinks they're really small here, and they don't really have much for benches, or the benches are in an awkward location, or the stands for parents. And since it's 5-year-old hockey and they're all on the ice at the time, they don't really sit on the benches, so the parents will come on to the players' bench and watch. And one dad was just on it, like just get the puck. Go take the body. Like, that's not hitting at this age. And like, his kid got the puck shot and missed, and it came back. He's like, try it again. Put it in the net this time. And I'm like, whoa, like calm down. This is not your kid's.
You're my retirement plan. This needs to work.
Well, it sounds like you handled it well, Dan. You know, I was looking through some of my old blog articles, and I saw that I actually reviewed your book, Parenting Without God. And from what I recall, it didn't suck.
Some people have told me that. Some people disagree, but
right. Well, you know, it's one of the many themes of the podcast here is how to deal with internet hate. And so, how do you deal with bad reviews or people talking smack about you online?
I really don't. I don't read that many of them. If I go onto my Amazon page for something, I might notice that I have like a new 1-star review or 2. 9 times out of 10, it's from a non-verified purchase or something like that, and I know exactly what it's going to say. And it's not someone that read the book. It's oh, I guess no one created science then, or why is this author so angry? The very first review I ever got was a 1-star review, and it just said, why, so you spelled correctly, U, capital U, so angry, spelled ANGREEEEE. Before I had it removed, because as an author, you can get non-verified reviews removed if they're very not book-centric. I screenshotted it because I love it. And my wife actually screenshotted it too, because if I'm in a bad mood, she'll just send me that in a text. Like, nice. Why are you so angry? But, I've read some that people are like, oh, the book's too ranty or the book's too that. And, I kind of take them to heart in a sense of, okay, so in my next book, I'll think about my tone throughout it, but not completely, because that's just me and my writing style. I'm more of a rant in your face sort of style in my writing, and that's not for everybody. So yeah, I don't really I take them to heart in a sense, but I don't take them personally, and I don't see a 1-star review and someone goes, oh, I read it and didn't really care for it. I just assume that's not for everybody, and that's fine. And I don't take it personal. As long as they don't personally attack me, I don't feel anything negative about it.
Sure. Has any of the reviewers or commenters said anything about oh, your kid must be a horrible kid. He must be playing youth hockey, something like that.
Not that I've seen.
That's nice.
Yeah. There was one, I can't remember exactly how it was, but they did kind of talk about how I can't raise my kid ethically without religion, and if I'm claiming to be an atheist, then writing my book was a waste of time or something like that. It's that the review didn't bother me, but the mindset of the person did.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like, because I hope they don't have kids. Was my thought. It was like, I hope that's not the values they're instilling in their children, and like that kind of stuff bothers me more than dealing with, oh, he didn't like my book, because I doubt he ever opened it. Like,
yeah. So how do you approach the topic of God with your kid?
Honestly, so it's weird because at 5 now it comes up. Like,
sure,
because people at school mention it, or his school's right across the street from the church, and so he's like, what's that building? And why is it's always people? It's generally funerals, weddings, but or he even catches up on words that we say, like, oh hell, what's hell? He's not asking in a sense of the place, but he just heard the word, and now it's in his vocabulary. I just kind of approach it as, so far it's been, he said something once to me, I just said, oh, it's this thing some people believe in. Right. And he just moved on from it. But to me, that's sort of the general approach in all, is to be honest about what it is to people, and then to be honest about where I stand on it. So there is going to come a time where he says, and I have a feeling he's going to say it in a sense of like, I remember saying things as a kid. He's going to ask me, Dad, do we believe in God? And it's going to, when I was a kid, my mom said, yes, we do. And for my kid, I'm going to say, no, I don't.
Sure.
And then talk to him about how some people do, some people don't. And that, at a certain time in his life, he'll have to make up his mind. And depending on when he asks me, I can ask him simply back, well, what do you think? He's, well, Timmy said this and that, and I like that. And then I can have a conversation with him about it, where, I think my parents did a great job of raising me to be rather secular, even though I was religious. But there was never really that, oh, well, you have a choice to believe or not. It was, well, you either believe in God or Satan. Which one is it?
Right.
I think I was probably well into middle school, if not later, that I didn't even know atheists existed.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of my world. I was told there was two options. I knew other religions existed, but I was told they still believed in a God. It was just wrong. So it was, they still had the whole God Satan thing. They were just, their God was the wrong God. But no one ever explained to me that there was people out there that just didn't believe.
Sure.
I didn't know that was an option. So even when I started questioning it, when I was like, this doesn't seem right, I didn't know what my choices were. It was more like, oh, I had to find, maybe I was just in the wrong religion that didn't fit the way I viewed the world. And that's a really weird kind of spot to be caught in when you start researching other religions and you realize they're even worse than yours, or they're more ridiculous. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? And then suddenly you find Satanism, and then you realize they don't believe in God or Satan, and your whole world changes.
Sure.
That is pretty common, though. There's a atheist who came to atheism at some point. There's a lot of them who just kind of try on religions like cats for a little while through their teenage years, through college.
Yeah, and it's like that. I think I was in high school, and embarrassed. I guess embarrassing is the wrong word, because I still listen to Marilyn Manson. But I was a real like high school Marilyn Manson guy. Like, every day new Marilyn Manson T-shirt, long black hair. But I started questioning about high school, and my parents were pretty open with it. So I said, Mom, I'm curious about other religions, and I want to buy these books. And at the time, I didn't have a job. I was like 15 or so, and she would take me to the bookstore and buy any book I asked for. So, she bought me L. Ron Hubbard, and I read that, and I was like, oh, nope, that's not going to be for me. I read about Judaism. I read about all these different religions, and they either felt just like mine for the most part, so I didn't feel a connection. And I remember asking for the Satanic Bible, and my mom saying, okay, and like, that was a bit harder of a push, like a sell. was that one, because according to my mom's own view, that was just a worshiping Satan book. Mm-hmm. But I think it's like the first opening paragraph is something like, we don't believe in Satan or God. And that right there changed everything. Because I read the book and realized Satanism as a religion was not going to be for me. Or as a practice. Like, it's very individualistic, it's like selfish, it's all these things that just didn't fit my worldview. But I put that book down being like, oh, now I understand what I'm feeling. I'm feeling the fact that I don't believe any of this.
Sure. Do any local parents, because when you're a parent, you got to hang out with other parents. That's just birthday parties, sporting events. Do you have any kind of friction between your atheism and their belief? Have you come into any kind of weird circumstances or situations?
Not really, actually, because I think and I hate to sound like this, but I'm sort of big enough here in the community that everyone knows where I stand. So
you just wear a T-shirt that says "asshole," and
pretty much.
Say, right?
But all of our parent friends are all atheists for the most part. One of my closest friends is actually he's in school to be a minister, but he is sometimes he's some of the best sources for the stories I write about, because he's incredibly liberal. And he is disgusted by a lot of the stuff churches are doing and religions doing, even his own. Like, he'll send me articles about he's Methodist, and he'll send me articles being like, this makes me sick, and it'll be a Methodist leader up in there, whatever hierarchy they have there, talking about how he's trying to get gay marriage taken out of all their churches. And he's like, a lot of us younger Methodists are thinking about breaking out and, kind of forming our own branch. So, we could butt heads all we wanted about the existence of God and the place of faith in our lives, but we just never talk about it, because on the grand scheme of things, the important things about government and intrusion into our lives, we agree 100%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we never... I think we could probably sit down, have a drink, and have a really great debate about God that would be fun and lively, but we never have, because to either of us, it's not that interesting. But no, when we go to parties, I'm sure, and I can guarantee, as my kid gets older and goes through elementary school and gets invited to birthday parties, it's going to come up a bit more. But right now, his friends are pretty much based on our circle. Mm-hmm. So our friends with kids, and they're all in agreement. Some of them think I'm too abrasive about it, but that's not like we don't argue about it. They're just like, oh, it's not, I don't care if someone's religious, and they think I care if they're religious, not their actions, stuff like that. But no, it's been pretty good. And like I said, at this point, if someone knows me, they know exactly where I stand.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Do you get any blowback from other atheists, and not about the writing style of the book, but how atheists are? Is herding cats is the typical thing that we like to say, and we could be abrasive at times. People just say, you're doing it wrong. You're raising your kids wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing that.
Kind of, yeah. I don't get too much of like, you're raising your kids wrong, although in my book, where I do talk a bit more about being really honest about religious belief and not giving it my snarky feelings towards it to my kid, because I don't want him to just parrot me. A lot of people want to tell me, nope, you got to tell them straight up it's a lie, it's BS, and and kind of throw that out. And they want to be actually more abrasive than I am, where my tactic is actually, here's what Christians believe, here's the story they believe. And I feel like all these stories are ridiculous enough. They don't need me to embellish them.
Sure. Right.
Where I actually get told a lot that, like, no, you got to, be harder. But the most common blowback I get on my book from atheists is, I don't need your book.
Wow.
Just people like that. Really, yeah. But I've noticed it with other books too. So it's not like just a me thing. People don't like to feel like they need help, I think. especially atheists, because we have that free thinker. A lot of us found atheism on our own in our own unique way, and regardless of the fact that it was other influences that brought us there, like I can credit Anton LaVey and Satanism for bringing me there. A lot of times we don't want to give that credit somewhere. We want to feel like that was our journey, our discovery, and having a book that will tell us something like that kind of makes us feel like we lose that free thought part.
That's interesting. I never really thought of it as atheist parents really going for the DIY kind of feel.
Yeah, and that's so people are like, "Oh, I don't need your book. I raised 2 kids without God. It was super easy." And I'm like,
easy.
And I'm like, "Congratulations! I think that's great." Technically, I don't find it hard, but I've thought, I have very fundamentalist grandparents who, when we announced I was having a baby, would email us constantly with, "Are you going to baptize? Why not? Well, what if?" And all these things. And that's what kind of spawned the book to come into existence, for questions like this. And I know there's parents out there that are deep in a religious family or deep in a religious community, and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And doing so is a scary road because it's going to have consequences. And so, as great as I think it is that some parents aren't going to need my book, I think some parents are. Some parents are going to need Dale McGowan's book. Some people are going to need, and there's all these things out there. But as atheists, we tend to want it to be all about, our personal victory over faith and these things. So I get it, but that's all oddly that every single time I post a link, like my book's on sale or, get my book today, I will get at least 2 to 3 messages back telling me that they don't need it.
Right.
Well, so what?
I'm like, good for you. Why are you telling me this?
Nice,
there are lots of books out there that I don't need.
Right. I'm going to start surfing the net like, hey, I got a self-help book or a construction book on how to build a shed. Yeah, I don't need your book. I don't have a yard.
Well, thanks for the cheery email. So the real question isn't about God, but about Santa. How do you guys in the Dan household deal with Santa? Are you guys pro Santa, anti-Santa, agnostic Santa? How do you play that with your kid?
We are pro Santa because it's such a cultural thing where, like, my thought, and I'm happy with the way it's worked for us so far, is he's going to go to school and everyone's going to be excited about Santa. And I remember me as a kid being excited about Santa. And I don't want him to not have that just because I like some silly idea that, I'm lying to him or, oh, well, if you don't believe in these myths, why this one? Because I think it's fun. And the caveat for our household is that we don't do naughty or nice.
Right.
We don't have the Big Brother watching you thing. There's no threat to Santa where, when I was a kid, it was, if you're not good, Santa's going to give you a lump of coal or, Santa's not going to give you gifts. We don't bother with that stuff. He knows about it because he's mentioned it. I think his teachers at his school have said, things like that before. Kids at his school, I'm sure, have said it, but he doesn't get it here. And that's important to us that, to him, it's just a fun part of growing up. And the hardest part as a 5-year-old, what's blowing my mind is that he's already skeptical.
Cool.
And so he's already asking too many questions.
Part of that has got to be, if he's talking with other kids about how Santa works and this, that, and the other thing, and he knows that there's no, you have a different set of rules than all these other, these other kids are running around talking about Elf on a Shelf, watching them.
Yeah.
Which is creepy, but that's a whole other thing.
It's so bad.
But he's seeing that there's 2 competing mythologies here, and he's recognizing a difference there, and so somewhere in his head the wheels are turning, and he's got to be saying, "No, wait, one of them's bullshit."
Yeah, I feel like he just wants to know. he's very about everything. He's very inquisitive and wants to know real details, which I just love. As a skeptic and as like an atheist parent, this is like a dream come true that he's just, asking these questions that I would never think a 5-year-old could think of. But like just the other day, we've never told him of a tooth fairy. He's not losing teeth at this point, so it's never come up. But the other day he goes, I think I'm losing a tooth, and he's actually getting his molars, so he's feeling some pain back there. And I'm like, you think so? Yeah, the tooth fairy's going to come. And I was like, you don't want the tooth fairy. And he said, oh, it's on this TV show, Super Y, that he watches. This reading show. And I was like, oh. He goes, what's a tooth fairy look like? I was like, I'm not sure. Where does she live? How'd she get in my house? I'm not sure. What'd she do with the teeth?
That was the one that did it for me, was the how do they get in the house?
Yeah. And he's asking these questions, and me and my wife are like, and I look over at her, I'm like, if he asks one more damn question, I'm just going to tell him.
Right.
Like, he's pushing too hard. Like, just accept the fact that someone's going to put money under your pillow and be quiet.
The stranger's going to come in and take a dead tooth and give you money. Don't ask questions.
Yeah. Because, part of it, too, is like, if he was to ask enough questions about Santa or something, and I told him, I'd be worried he'd go tell all his friends.
Oh, yeah.
And I also don't want to do that to them, because there are kids that aren't going to be as inquisitive, and there are parents that are going to take it more seriously, and it's not my job to take that from them, regardless of if I think they should be doing naughty or nice and all these things. It doesn't matter. It's not his job to take that from them at this age. If he's in high school and there's a kid that still believes, I'll spoil it for him in a second. I'll just do him a favor. But at this point, so it's that balance of, I want him to enjoy the holidays and the things that come with them. And I want to make sure the people that he hangs out with at school or outside of school are doing the same. Mm-hmm. And so, I've gotten some heat for doing Santa, but I don't care.
I was looking through
you can mess with, the Catholic Church and the Protestants and them all you want, but fucking with Coca-Cola, that's a bad scene. You don't want to go there. Hey gang, it's Jack. Thanks for listening to the show. Hope you're enjoying it. This seemed like an opportune time to cut in and tell you about a new way that Andy and I have come up with to try and hopefully make the show make some money. But unlike most of our schemes, this one isn't actually going to cost you any extra money, so it's great all around. What we've done is, if you like the show, you like our guests, and maybe you want to find out more about those guests, well, if you go to zxh-creative.com/shop, we've set up a little Amazon storefront with links to all kinds of stuff from all of the guests we've had on the show. Well, not all, but the ones who have stuff on Amazon anyway. Books, stand-up specials, CDs, an entire curated list of stuff for sale from people who have been on the show, and, links to other stuff on Amazon that we think you might like. You can also use any of the Amazon search links on zxh-creative.com to do your Amazon shopping, and that would help us out too. And it doesn't cost you anything more than if you went to Amazon and did it. You're just going through our site first. So if you like the show, if you want to help out, this is a way you can do it without it costing you any more than you were already going to spend at Amazon anyway. And the shop link is a great place to find all the stuff from people who have been on the show all in one place. So do that. Check it out. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, back to the show.
Yeah, so Dan, I was looking through your blog, and I saw that you have a love-hate, more hate than love, or maybe, I don't know. How do you describe your relationship with the Ark Encounter?
It's complicated.
It's complicated. What's
No, I despise, on a personal level, I despise it to its core. Everything about it,
I think
is awful. On a political level, he has every right to build the stupid thing. My goal in going after him was never to stop it from actually being made. It was to stop taxpayer money from participating in the building of it. We won for a while there. Now not so much.
So just to clarify, or just to let everyone know, the Ark Encounter is what the abomination that Ken Ham is building down in Kentucky.
Yes, so it's a giant landlocked boat 300 or so miles from the nearest body of water.
That's completely unseaworthy.
That's completely unseaworthy. It's full of fake animals and animatronic people. I'm guessing some bathrooms. It's made of wood, so at one flick of a cigarette, this whole thing's done. I'm going to build this giant thing with timber and then fill it with people. When he built it, they had
electronics.
And electronics. That's a great. This is just perfect. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to this thing, but when he built it, they actually told me he had to put like it was this massive gallon tank of water near it because it's made of wood. And I had suggested to Ken that instead of putting it in like a big giant barrel, they put it like a moat around it so it looks like it's in the water, and then fill it with floating bodies, so you get real experience.
So how much taxpayer money is actually going into this scheme?
So right now that's a question that's up in the air. So what we know is that there's about a $64 million bond given to them. They have to pay back, but it's for the land. They're paying this back through some taxes, but also every employee that works there has to pay an additional 2% tax out of their paycheck to help pay for this back. Yeah.
I had no idea.
So to work at the Ark Encounter, you actually have to pay more in taxes. It's just mind-blowing. But there's that. There's also the state's budget has $10 million allotted to build the road that goes to the Ark Encounter and to improve the roads around it. Mm-hmm. So there's $10 million of taxpayer money being built on a road that doesn't need to exist. And then the next chunk of money is what's up for question, and what the entire debate and the entire debacle I was involved in was the $18 million tax incentive, which is not to say he's getting a chunk of $18 million. Basically what happens is if his application is approved, which it still actually has to go through the process, the judge's ruling only states that the state has to accept the application and process it. They'll accept it. They want to accept it. So that's not really up for question anymore. But how much will the rebate cap be is what's up for debate, because what happened was they applied for a rebate on. So when you walk in, you buy a hot dog, you pay 8% tax on that hot dog. At the end of the year, that 8% goes back to the Ark, up to a certain amount. And when they applied, they had to give their estimates on how many people they think are going to come into the park, how much revenue they're going to generate. And they did their own independent study and said, here's how much we're going to make. And the government said, okay, you're preliminarily approved for an $18 million tax incentive. And then the application was put into file. They then hired the Hunden Research Group out of Chicago to do their own research. The state paid for it, so it could be independent, not, the Ark Encounter's word. Because we all know how much we can trust everything Ken Ham says. And then, so kind of long story short, the state was made very aware of hiring discrimination practices, of saying you have to be a Christian to work here.
And did they have to sign a form? Is there some kind of loyalty oath to Jesus? What's going on? A
statement of faith that states that you are a Christian, you believe in their version and story of Christianity, you accept this young earth creationism. So you have to take, it's basically like a loyalty oath. So you have to really say, like, I believe. And so basically, the state said, no, you can't have it. They sued. The judge said, you can't discriminate against them for these reasons. And so now the application is being processed again. But the independent research done by the Hunden Group out of Chicago has the estimates of people coming to visit the park much lower.
Sure.
So chances are they're still going to get approved, but it won't be for $18 million. It could be for $8 million. It could be for $6 million. We're not sure at this point. But so, now at this point you're trying to find silver lining. The silver lining is it's not going to be as bad. But it's still going to be taxpayer money being wasted. And I think what the best strategy going forward is now is for a Christian or someone to apply, be told they don't believe properly and can't work there, and then they're going to sue.
Right.
I think that's what's going to be the best strategy, because I don't think atheist group suing them anymore is going to work, because the state doesn't care.
Sure.
The state's already said we support this project, but I think once citizens of the state feel discrimination, that might change things. And especially if it comes from a Christian. So if a Christian says, look, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, I do all these things, and they don't believe in a 6,000-year Ark, like, can you then branch discrimination to be that specific? Is there a line that they're going to draw somewhere? I guess that's what remains to be seen, is just how discriminatory are they going to be able to be, and can they break the entire thing down by starting there? So you just break that little piece out and say, well, no, you can't do that, and then it's going to get appealed and it's going to raise up in the courts. Can that go far enough that someone can strike down the entire tax plan?
I get all tingly when I think about that.
And they can, because it's been done already. And the judge ignored the Supreme Court ruling of Davey versus Locke that's already settled this case.
Sure.
So if we can get it up to a judge that cares about actually doing his job, this whole thing falls apart. So that's what's next. But for now, we just kind of ride this out and see if Ham can actually even open on time. And then we sit back with popcorn and watch as, tens of people roll through the door.
So when's it supposed to open officially?
It's July 7th.
Yeah, I thought it was this summer sometime.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird, because if you look at pictures of it now, the boat's still not done, and there's no landscaping. It's like dirt everywhere. And so I honestly think they're going to open this thing with like a road that drives you to the Ark, and you go in the Ark, and that's all there is. There's he's got all these plans for ponds and things like to walk around and see. But I think when this thing opens, that's not going to exist, because he doesn't have the money for it.
Right.
And he's hoping to generate the money through sales and the tax rebate.
That's a big gamble.
I have a feeling that's just not going to happen, because even if, let's say he gets approved for the $18 million, if only 300,000 people walk through the door, and that's the estimate for the first year, is 325,000. That's not going to generate $18 million in taxes.
Right.
And they might give him back $5,000-$6,000, or even $6 million isn't enough to finish the project he has ahead of him.
Does that tax rebate extend to the entire property? Because it's on the same land as the his other museum thing, right?
No, it's actually not.
No.
No.
I thought you could see them from each other.
No, they are quite separate, and technically speaking, that's up in the air as if it applies to both, because the judge's ruling is confusing, because it's the Ark Encounter LLC, which is a for-profit company that applied for the tax rebate, but the judge's ruling consistently mentions that AIG, or Answers in Genesis, is a religious nonprofit. So I have a feeling they might balance that out and be like, well, the judge said that the ruling was for us, so we can take that money. And if the Ark's failing, they'll just funnel it over.
The way they'd weasel around that is, you buy the one ticket at the Answers in Genesis Museum thing, and it applies at both places. Like, you get the one ticket for both, and then they'll say, well, that's all that money,
Yeah. I mean, they're already doing weird and breaking the law that no one seems to care about, which is you can donate to the Ark Encounter and it be tax deductible.
Oh, hey, that's not right.
That's not. I can't donate to
because they're a ministry, right?
Well, it's because they're saying that their parent company is AIG.
Oh, well, they want it both ways.
Yeah,
they're trying to pull both here, but it doesn't. It doesn't work, because UPS can't form a nonprofit that says like we're going to feed children, and I give them money, and they buy trucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So
is that money laundering? Is that money laundering? I don't know what money laundering is, but that sounds.
It sounds like money laundering.
It might sound remotely close to it. I don't know.
But they're definitely violating nonprofit laws by accepting donations for a for-profit business. And Americans United for Separation of Church and State, Freedom from Religion Foundation, they've all raised their hands. Freedom from Religion Foundation sent letters to the IRS saying, like, you need to look at this. And it's been just silent. There's been no response.
Well, the IRS is ridiculously understaffed.
Yeah.
They generally stay away from the religion thing to begin with.
Yeah, they're too busy harassing, people like me that, have to pay taxes out of pocket because we write and want more, instead of taking the money from the people that are making millions.
So, Dan, what do you say to people if you have someone come up to you and say, look, the Ark Encounter, it's a theme park. They'll probably bring in some money to the state. How is that different from any other business? Like up here in Boston, we're giving GE a ton of tax incentives, no taxes. What makes the Ark Encounter for moving into Boston? The GE is moving into Boston. But what's different from having, giving another business, the Ark Encounter, some tax dollars so it can set up shop?
The difference that I would highlight is that GE, or even right there in Kentucky, they built the NASCAR racetrack using a lot of tax money. Is that the NASCAR racetrack can't discriminate against you if you don't like NASCAR.
Right.
They have to follow every single law that exists for employment. And the Ark Encounter is being told you get special treatment, but you get all the same benefits. So in a way, they are opening Pandora's box as well, as far as what's next. What's the next theme park that's going to open? The straight man theme park, and you have to be a straight white male to work there, and all.
Those are called country clubs.
That's true. But there's like a floodgate waiting to open of, discriminatory practices that are going to come flooding out of this. And people have already talked about it. Other religious organizations have already talked about things they can get away with because of this. Mm-hmm. Look, we can open up a storefront and then, staff it how we please. And we can break these laws and that law because it's allowed now. But also, GE, even when you go to Disney, you're not leaving them saying you worship the mouse. Like, they want you to buy lots of mouse stuff, but if you go home and don't continue to give them 10%, they're fine. So you have this mix. They're using tax money to proselytize, just against the law, all in all. But they're also, they're discriminating. So that's the big difference to me. And I'll go into I'm not here, but I can go into a very long thing about how GE shouldn't be getting away with paying zero taxes, this and that. That's the whole capitalistic, socialist thing.
This is going to dovetail into, and I'm glad that you brought the socialist thing. I'm going to dovetail, and we're going to play a little game. And Dan, I'm going to give you a word, maybe two words, and I want you to just tell me your first reaction. Kind of like spontaneous. All right. So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Hillary Clinton.
Warhawk.
You seem to have a very clear idea about Miss Clinton.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
So what's so bad about Hillary Clinton?
I don't trust her as far as I could throw her. And I'm guessing it's not very far. I think those pantsuits weigh more than people think. She's very hawkish. I think I've already brought up. She doesn't seem to care about social justice and social equality until it matters to her bottom line, which I don't appreciate. So people come to me and, isn't it a good thing she changed her mind? I'm like, sure, but she'll change it again if she thinks her vote relies on it. And that's not what I want. I want someone that is right for the sake of being right and will stay right. And I don't mean right as far as politics, I mean, right, as far as
Correct.
the right thing to do, that will stay there regardless of public opinion. If marriage equality is the right thing to do, and suddenly the country shifts back the other direction, they don't.
Yeah.
And I think she would. I don't want that in a politician. I don't want wishy-washy. I want someone who's willing to change their mind based on evidence, but not someone who's willing to change their mind based solely on votes.
Right.
I think that she gets really hung up on passing legislation and, pushing stuff through more than what the thing is. Like, she had some quote, I don't know, last week, where she said something like she'd be willing to find some sort of compromise on abortion bans as long as health and life of the mother are carved out. I'm like, what?
Exactly. Yeah. and then Planned Parenthood endorses her. Like,
how does that work?
It's because and people Bernie got a lot of slack for it, but he was right. Planned Parenthood is a political organization to a degree. Like, they're part of the political establishment, and they need the certain allies. And for them, I think they really did think Clinton was going to win, and they wanted to align early.
Yep.
And I think for them, it's probably going to work out in their favor. But they're playing the political game too. They're not just playing the ideological game. It's very political. But yeah, I don't feel like she's going to take care of the middle class and the working class the way that I think we deserve. She doesn't care about healthcare for everybody. She cares about getting it there eventually. Meanwhile, I have insurance right now that I can't actually afford to use.
Wow.
I pay lots of money for it, but if I get sick, I do everything I can to avoid the doctor, to avoid the hospital, because my premiums are just outrageous. And it's like, so why am I paying for it? I'm paying for it because I legally have to. But secondly, like, if something catastrophic happens, I need to have some sort of coverage. Yeah. But what am I? But I can't just go to the doctor. Oh, my throat hurts. I think I might have an infection. Let's go to a doctor.
I think an interesting thing, because of the amount of paperwork involved with filing insurance and stuff, a lot of doctors' offices do have a cash price that's cheaper than what they bill the insurance for, and you're not obligated to use your insurance when you go to the doctor.
Exactly, and I feel like I should just go and walk into a doctor, get what I need to care, and walk out.
Yeah,
I think we have the infrastructure to make that a reality. And I think we're failing by not.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And the fact that she doesn't want to really bothers me. Where she's like, minimum wage stuff, she drives me. So I could go on and on about Hillary Clinton, but I'm very far left. And to me, she's practically a Republican.
How is she polling in California? Her and
very good. We haven't had a really good poll count in a long time here. But the last time we had one out, she was up by like 20 or 30 points. Wow. I've heard it's coming down, but I don't think it's enough for her to lose it. And I think it's going to be closer than it was 6 months ago.
Sure.
But I think it's still hers.
Yeah, if Bernie stands any chance at all, he's got to
win by like 60.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to happen. That's not the reality here. And that's not the kind of Democrats we have. This isn't a very Bernie-centric state. We're a very rich state. We have a lot of wealthy people. Thankfully, a lot of these wealthy people are liberal, so they do vote Democratic, but they're more of a Clinton-type Democrat, where they don't want to see more taxes to them, where Clinton's going to give them more of a tax break than Sanders definitely would. And Sanders has made that very clear.
I took one of those tax plan calculator things. Somebody has gone through each of the candidates' things, and you plug in your income, and they tell you what your pay or what your difference would be. And Hillary, it was just dead zero.
Yeah, I've taken 3 different ones to try to kind of balance them out, and every time I get one, zero for her.
Yeah.
And that's
so who's worse?
And then people yell at you when you say that you're literally voting for the status quo by voting.
Right.
And the weird thing is, like, Bernie would cost me like an extra $3-4 grand a year, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I went on the Vox one on Vox Media, had me paying like $3,000 or $4,000 more a year. But then the Nation came out and said, the Vox one's really flawed. Here's why, and we rebuilt it, and they have me bringing home an extra $3,000 to $4,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
Well, and then are they calculating like Bernie actually getting universal health care done, and so you wouldn't have insurance payments and that kind of thing? So if they do that, then those numbers change a lot.
They do, and from what I understood, the Vox one was focused more on his business tax plan than the individual. So it wasn't taking into account a lot of different like parts of the tax plan. It was a little too basic. And so someone did build one on just based on Bernie's tax plan alone. And when you run that, it gives you two prices. It shows you your tax plan with universal health care and without. And I thought that was the best, because that one kind of shows you, here's his tax plan, and if this doesn't pass, here's what you're paying. And if it does pass, here's what you're paying.
Right.
And I think that's more realistic, because we know for sure when the first day he takes office, we're not getting universal health care.
No.
But he can help change tax plans. So we have to figure out where that balance is. But at the same time, like you said, if mine came up as I was paying a little bit more, I'm willing to pay a little bit more if I know that money's doing a world of good.
Right, exactly.
True enough. Same here. So, Dan, you have a new book coming out.
I do. October 1st.
Tell me about your book.
It's called The Secular Activist. It talks a lot about the Ken Ham stuff we just talked about, kind of my journey there, a lot of the steps I took, how I uncovered different aspects of his plan, of his discrimination. But instead of making the whole book about me, I also talk a lot about other activists throughout the country and things they accomplished. So getting secular invocations brought into their city hall, working to get 10 Commandment monuments taken down, things like that. And the thing I focus on is the fact that these were all done by individuals. This wasn't, and groups come in and help. So, I didn't help originally. It didn't turn out great at the end, but originally stopped Ken Ham's tax breaks alone. I found these problems, but then I went to Americans United and Freedom from Religion Foundation, and then they helped on the big scale. But so, a lot of those stories do go in that direction, but they're all started by that one person sitting there saying, enough is enough. And so I wanted to write a book that kind of told people, you can do this. You don't have to sit on Facebook and see that something's happening in your area or nationally and say, I wish someone would do something about this.
Yeah.
Because you can be that one. Because what would have happened if I saw the discrimination from the Ark Encounter and be like, oh, I hope someone catches that. And you know what? I don't have some illusion that I'm the only person that ever found that. Sure. It wasn't that hard to find. But someone probably found it and thought, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I'm just so-and-so. And, leading up to that, I was just completely so-and-so. That was my first blog post on Patheos. It wasn't like I was already this massively established writer and author or anything like that. That didn't exist. Like I had a book out. I was a slightly bit more known, but I was working a full-time job I hated. I was still doing the everyday life thing that people do.
Sure.
And I just saw something that needed to be taken care of, and I did. And so I went and searched out other stories and found so many people that did the same thing. So,
right.
People are tired of prayer at their city council meeting, and they went and did something about it. Sure. And so, I built a whole book around that, and just kind of tell those stories. And I hope to inspire other activists or potential activists to do the same.
Well, it sounds like a great idea, because people really need to have this how-to information at their fingertips.
And that's the thing. It seems sort of silly that it needs to exist, but it kind of does, and it's worked for me in different aspects of my life. I've read activist books on social justice, on socialism, on all these different aspects of life, and you learn so much. Even if you don't need the how to step by step, hearing how other people have done it, getting inspired by them, this just kind of builds you up. Like even when I was writing it and writing about these people's individual stories, I felt inspired to do more.
Sure.
And so I think that's a great thing too. It's not necessarily like you may already know how to go take care of all of this stuff, but you're not doing it.
Right.
And so maybe if you hear about a success story, you're going to get fired up and go do it.
Right.
But maybe you don't. Maybe you have no idea what the first step you're supposed to take is, and you're sick of something that's happening and you can't make any headway, and you just don't know who to contact. You don't know what kind of approach to take. And I've tried to put that somewhere so that someone has it. And it dovetails with this book by Amanda Knief from American Atheists. She wrote the Citizen Lobbyist, which is about how to lobby your government as a citizen. So not as a paid lobbyist, but as a citizen. And when I pitched my book to Pitchstone, they published the same book. I said, think of Amanda's book, but for the individual activist who wants to go march on the street, not wants to walk into Congress and say, change this. That this is for the person who's more like me, who doesn't walk into Congress, but who marches on Congress.
Sure.
And that's how I sold it. So I kept the book short. It's going to be, I think, less than 200 pages. I haven't seen it laid out yet. It's still being done. But I want it to be short because I wanted you to read it, put it down, and go.
That's great.
I didn't want you to read it for 6 months and then be done reading it and be like, I am so tired of this book. I just need to get a nap. I'm not going to go do anything. Like, to me, I almost thought of Guerrilla Warfare. I think that's what it's called, by Che Guevara, which is just a short book.
Yeah. And
his mission was to inspire people.
Sure.
Whether or not that mission or that message is correct is a different topic. But the idea of the book, the quick read that sends that bolt of energy into you and then sends you out. And that's what I wanted. And I haven't announced who's writing the foreword yet. Kind of saving it as a surprise. But I can tell you that the foreword is very inspiring in its own right, because the author talks about having fun doing it.
Oh, great.
So not only are you making a difference, but like you can get a sense of joy out of it. There is a feeling you get of, I like being this activist.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing this for a living or on the side.
Most people feel this innate, tingly, happy feeling when they're in control of their own environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one last question, Dan. What would bother you more if your kid grows up as a libertarian, big L libertarian, / atheist, so they don't believe in God, but they're a big L libertarian, or if they're a Christian / liberal?
Libertarian.
Yeah. Me too.
Because at least if they're a liberal, they care about other people.
But at least you could agree on the Ark Encounter thing. There'd be
exactly. See, I don't have to fight about that.
So, Dan, is there any question that you wanted us to ask you that you came in here thinking about? It's like, I'm really gearing up for this, that we didn't ask you.
Was I supposed to be naked the whole time? Because I was.
I have minimal pants on. I have to tell you right now.
Purely your choice.
Thought it was required. Now I feel awkward. Both my kids are sitting here.
You're in San Diego. There's nudists there, right?
I have one kid, literally, he's slowly going through Netflix right now, wondering when he click play. When is this over? When can I click play?
So, Dan, here's the time that you get to plug whatever you want to plug, man.
All right. Well, let's keep it simple. Go to danarel.com. That will lead you to my blog, my book, my upcoming book, other articles I've written around the internet. Not only do I blog for Patheos, my Danethology blog about religion, science, some politics. I also write for Counterpunch, which is a far left publication. I've written for Common Dreams, another far left. There might be a theme you're catching here. And follow me on Twitter at Dan Arel. That's where I spend most of my day ranting and raving and making people mad about random things I think.
Like blackface.
Yeah, apparently that's controversial to be against blackface.
Because I'm on Twitter a lot. I was looking at Dan's Twitter feed, and I'm going, blackface? That's controversial? How is that a thing?
Because people are insane.
I was finding that people were just trying to lessen it. And that's the part that bothered me. It wasn't so much that I could possibly be wrong about that one filter on Snapchat that made you have a black face, which seemed odd to me. But that's not what they're going for. I'm like, great. So if I paint myself in blackface and go outside and say I'm just Kanye West for Halloween and I'm not going for something racist, it's still inherently racist.
Right.
I don't know what the disconnect is there with some people on that. They think that their intent matters more than how they're perceived by, that just doesn't make any sense to me. That's ridiculous.
But that's what I was finding. It was intent. People are, I was being called a regressive left. A regressive
left. I don't understand how people who are raised in the media environment that we find ourselves in, screaming into the void to try and get their 15 minutes of fame, they seem to miss the idea of optics and how the audience perceives things matter. Right. I don't get why that's such a sticking point for some people.
There seems to be a faction on the left that aligns with the right on certain issues, and the PC is one of them, where they want to overuse this PC-ness, where I understand there is a line where we sometimes go too far and say, oh, we can't do that, it's too PC. But then they try to go push it to the extreme and say, or include blackface.
Right.
Oh, man.
Where there is a history of things that we have to take into account. And we can't just erase the history because it's not the same.
Right.
Like blackface served a really hateful purpose at one point. Let's just avoid it from now on. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's a good rule to have.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, it was great having you on, man.
Yeah, this is fun.
Thank you for having me on. I'm glad I did this.
Had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Well, and if you have an open invitation to come back on when you have something new you want to talk about, or you just want to vent your spleen on Ken Ham or any other topic, or President Clinton, who knows?
Yeah,
really. You should come back closer to the election we'll do some election coverage. That'd be loads of fun.
I'll tell you what. You know what? Right up at the election, my book will just have been out. The election's happening. I'll have lots to talk about. So
that sounds good.
It'll be a date. All right.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.